This is the Tea with NSP podcast.
Hi, and welcome to the 6th episode of the Tea with NSP. Last week, we had a special bonus episode for International Women's Day. Hopefully, you didn't miss it, and if you did, poor effort, you've missed me blabbing for an hour again. National Student Pride exists to empower LGBTQ+ students and provide opportunity whilst remaining free and accessible. The event and this podcast would not be possible without our sponsors. EY have been major supporters of our organisation for a phenomenal 12 years, moving with us across the country and continually affirming and representing their commitment to LGBTQ+ young people. We are thrilled that EY are returning as headline sponsors for 2021, enabling us to realise the fantastic and exciting content we have planned for the NSP Festival at the end of April. This week, UK Drag Race star Cheryl Hole and internet sensation Max Balegde sit down for a chinwag about everything from social media success to coming out to troubles in the limelight. As a trigger warning for this episode, we do feature meaningful discussions surrounding the Ariana concert bombings. Stick around to the end to find out which social media stars are with us next week. Now, I fancy a biscuit.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to NSP's brand new podcast, The Tea with NSP. And this week we have, firstly, we have the wonderful Ben Wardle, TikTok star.
My love.
And then we also have the wonderful Max Balegde. Are we calling you Balegde?
We love that.
Right,
we love that. There's a little bit of mystery behind the name, but yeah.
And also the wonderful Miss Cheryl Hole.
Hello.
So, how is everybody? How is Christmas for everybody? Are we all having an emotional breakdown?
Don't. My world was thrown upside down, sideways, back to front. So I was planning to come up north on Sunday, but then Boris went, "You better run because you've got 8 hours." So I big fat ran, and it were horrible.
If you ran away anywhere, Cheryl, or are you staying home?
I'm staying in Essex. I'm staying put. You can't get rid of me.
So I'm not seeing my mum. This accent's not from London. So,
what?
No. So not going back. It's my mum's 50th this year, and she is fuming.
Oh.
She turned off her phone. She didn't talk to me for a day and a half.
Oh, that sounds a bit dramatic. Oh,
I know.
And how does this make you feel? It's one of those sessions.
Last time we saw you, Cheryl, we were there, GAY late, National Student Pride. We were there, you were on stage. This was before the word coronavirus existed. What's been happening for you in the time since?
I don't know, take me back to death dropping on the little platform in GAY any day of the week. Because, fuck me, I don't know how much more of this bullshit I can take. Do you know what? I am a hustling diva, so you can't keep a girl down. I will make any situation work. I'll put on a show in this bloody drag room. I'll do whatever I need to take. Because at the end of the day, this is what I do. This is what I love. Yeah. And drag, we're so lucky to live in this day and age that drag doesn't just live on a stage anymore. It is everywhere. It's on every platform. It's everywhere you look. And I've just been so lucky this year to have been one of those queens that's been able to actually still work. And whenever possible, if one of my friends put up their PayPal link, I'd send them some money to look after them, because who am I to sit here and be lucky to be able to pay my bills when my friends are having to move out their flats and not pay their phone bill? I want to help out wherever I can. It's like this Christmas, I've donated to as many food banks as possible because so many people are struggling. So I just don't understand that logic of people that are very fortunate and well. I'm not saying I'm rolling in it, but I'm in a fortunate position that I want to be able to help look after people and provide for people. So people that don't, I just think you're a dickhead.
absolute wanker.
Yeah, like Natasha the landlord.
Oh, Doc, do you know what? I told Ben this yesterday. You might not have seen. I've won.
You read about this, Cheryl?
I've won. And something's gone wrong in TikTok headquarters, because I posted the final video. About 2 weeks ago, I got an email from the deposit scheme or whatever it is, saying we've reviewed the evidence. It took them 5 months, and £45 would be deposited into my account when I tell you I bloody death dropped, you've never seen anything like it. And then I posted a TikTok about it and it got barely any views. So I feel like Natasha's up there somehow in TikTok headquarters, not wanting people to know.
Don't stress, Diva, because IG, TikTok, they're just all after us.
They really do.
I'll post a lovely picture of me in a new outfit and it's like, sorry, we don't care. And they just hide it from everyone.
How are you finding TikTok, Cheryl? Is it your new passion in life?
Right. I started off strong.
You started off well strong. I saw a video of you like giving it big licks in the street.
And do you know what happened? I just ran out of room in my flat. Because it started getting cold. And I couldn't go outside and twirl in the streets anymore.
Have you got any tips, Max?
Absolutely none. All I do is chat shit. I can go days without posting, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, what if I did a series about how people can ruin their family's Christmas?
Max, because you've done that whole problematic series in RuPaul, I feel like she's just watching constantly.
Oh, yeah, that were ages ago. I did that when I very first started. Times RuPaul's Drag Race. I think I actually just did it about RuPaul. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't think I did it. I said Times RuPaul was questionable because I just find RuPaul hilarious in that he just says the most bizarre things sometimes and does the most bizarre things. I watched this one interview and he was talking and he was giving like this massive inspirational interview about how everyone's on their own journey and like you can't sometimes like help people. You just got to let them do their own journey. So he said, yeah, I used to live next to the Hudson River and one day I saw a man drowning in the river and I just thought, that's your journey. And by the end of the interview, he didn't actually say whether the man survived. And I just think that's hilarious.
Let's just be the positive divas and hope he's surviving and thriving.
Yeah.
So Max is banned from season 3. He definitely won't be a guest judge. That's done. Right, we'll go back. I would love to know, Cheryl, like, what were you like 16-year-old? Like, was the personality always there? Like, what were you? I want the image of Cheryl at 16.
Right. Let's think. A bottle of Schwarzkopf, blonde hair dye, a moppy haircut, going, I'm Lukey Gaga and I'm a little monster. Raw. 2010, I was 16.
I don't feel like that's old. Is it?
I'm old.
I'm older than you, Cheryl. I'm 29.
At the end of the day, we're still in our 20s, hon.
clutching those 20s.
So just for our student audience who weren't higher than 1 foot in 2010, just tell us what the world was like back then.
Simpler times. I mean, Gaga was slaying the game. Rihanna had red hair, and I was a big old gay boy with a passion for fashion. I'm joking. I wasn't a brat doll. I was just living my best life, just being the performing arts student, being the big old diva that I've always have been, and just having a camp old time.
Like, was drag always there, or was it just something you sort of like fell into, or what?
Oh God, no! Drag didn't come into my world like properly. I didn't get introduced to Drag Race till I was in university, and then that influenced a lot of my work that I was creating, because I went to university at Middlesex and I studied dance, but I specialised in choreography. So all the work that I was creating was being inspired by pop divas, but also drags. And at that point, I went, maybe I could dip my toes into it. I was going to say stick my toes into it. And I was like, oh.
So it was just one of these things that sort of like happen?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. Right time, right place, and all that bullshit. So like, I don't ever like preempt anything. I put things out to the world, but I never like make a plan. Like, by 25, I'm going to do this. By 30, I'm going to do this. I just let everything happen. When I was getting ready for Drag Race and I'd sent my audition tape in, I didn't check the views on my tape. I didn't. I wasn't getting consumed with seeing how many times it was viewed, whatever. I just was like, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. So I just let things fall as they do. I don't want to say I fell into drag. I just quit my job and decided I want to do it.
Age did you come out at then? Or like, was it very obvious growing up, or was it a big thing for you to come out?
Let's just take one look at me and say, was it obvious? No, it was bloody obvious that I was. My mum looked at me at 2 years old when I was trying to trot around in her little strappy heels from the wardrobe and her dressing gown, and she went, I see you, I know. but I never really came out. It wasn't like a big thing. I didn't sit my family down. Like when I came back from university, I came back with a couple of friends that were in my halls, and we did like a weekend in Essex. They were like, oh yeah, and Luke got with this guy last weekend. They were like, because I never actually said it, but everybody knew. I was always just authentically me. There was no hiding or denying it. Like lots of people get bullied at year 7 to year 10, year 11. Mine was in primary school, so I had the brunt of it then. People started early on me, but that made me have the thick skin. So when I got to big school, people were throwing shit at me, and I'd be like, I ain't phased, I ain't bothered, and I just carried on being me.
What about you, Max? Like, did you have to come out in school, or was that?
What I found weird, so Cheryl said like it was like more issues in primary school. For me, I found that because when I was in primary school, everyone was younger, and when you're younger, you kind of like appreciated more for the things that make you different. Like I was fully like, I ran my own gymnastics like troop in school, and I got all the football boys to do it, and I was like, right, you need to come in on your break, like you need to help us out, like we're going to put this routine together. And then it wasn't until I got to high school where all of a sudden, like I walked in on my first day with my high-pitched voice and my bob, like, right, so who wants to do gymnastics? Everyone was like, fuck off. And like people would like shout stuff at me in the halls. And then it wasn't until year 13, so last year of sixth form, and then I was in the Ariana Grande Manchester bomb concert. But I was in that, and I just remember after that being like, right, so you are gay as fuck. Like, no two ways about it. But you could have just died then, and some like random boys that you've met in the middle of the night essentially know more about you than like your closest friends and family. Do you know what I mean? So then my plan was to go to uni and like come out, and I was gonna come out just as soon as I was about to leave, and then I wouldn't have to like face anybody. And it was the sixth form leavers ball, so I was like, do you know what, I'm gonna grow some balls. I'm not gonna do it just as I'm about to leave. I'm gonna do it the day before the leavers ball in true gay fashion, all attention on me. And I walked in and I was like, do you know what, if you don't like it, you don't have to like it. But I'd obviously just bigged it up in my head, because even like the straightest of straight lads were like, do you know what, like, yeah, like, don't really like gay people, but like, you're all right. And I was like, do you know what, that's an awful thing to say, but I'll take it as a compliment in this moment, because I've not really got much else to take.
Cheryl, going to university, was that like I guess you were quite yourself even in school, but like, was there a bit of a whole opening up even more when you went to university, or like, what was that like?
Nobody had to be like, oh, are you gay when I got to university, because no one gave a fuck. Like, you were just a person that's living in room 104 and just having a camp old time doing death drops in the kitchen. Like, I remember the first day, it was so exciting. Everybody got added to the Facebook group before, so you could speak to people in your halls. And we were like planning the first night, planning the party, like, we're going to go to your kitchen, then we're going to go to your kitchen. I just remember it being so exciting, putting a face to the name that you've just seen on Facebook. And I think once you've had a couple of bevies, everybody's just up for a laugh and a great old time. But I just had fun. Everybody had fun. Nobody really passed any judgment, because I think everybody had grown up by then. And if there was any issues, I'd tell them to fuck off or I'd knock them out. I'm from Essex.
Where does that come from? Because like, I'm a mouthy bastard, and I still struggled with that a wee bit of like being able to go, oh, piss off. Like, where does that come from, being so strong?
No choice other than to be strong, because the minute you let your guards down, you show that you're like vulnerable or whatever, people take advantage of that. And I have never wanted to be taken advantage of. So I've always been that strong one that's either strong for people or strong that I just show that I don't let things affect me and get me down. Under the surface, I am a very sensitive person. Like, I get very stressed very easily. Like, especially like nowadays when it comes to work, like if I've got a very quick deadline of getting things done and I've just like start flapping, and then like Hayden's like, you need to calm down, it's fine. But I let things get to me, and then I go, wait, calm down, reset, rewind, and then I carry on. But like, I just put that it's like a switch. I flick it and I'm like, don't give a fuck. So I feel like people need to find that voice within them and say, look, I am a strong person. Out surrounding yourself with like-minded, strong people as well that have got your back, but will also remind you that you're allowed to be vulnerable, but you've got to snap yourself out of it.
So actually, same question to you, Max, because you had the balls to come out just before a big prom. Like, I came out in a letter to my mum and ran away for a day. Like, that's.
Oh, but yeah, when I went to uni, even when I came out, I remember I went to a festival with my friends, and like I said, I had a majoritively like lad straight group. So I remember saying to them, and this is awful that I even said it, but I used to say to them like, oh yeah, like I'm gay, but I'm like not a faggot. And looking back, that makes me want to crawl inside myself and just punch myself in the head. But I remember I used to say it just because it would make them be like, oh yeah, like, like, oh yeah, definitely, like he's still one of us. I just had so much internalized homophobia literally built into myself. And I remember, so I first went to uni in Bristol, but it was like the first time that I ever went to like a gay club, and I just met people that just didn't give a shit. And like Cheryl said, you get there and you're all adults and you don't even have to tell people really, like when you meet them, because it's just not an issue. And I just remember being like, whoa, like this is crazy. But then I did get a boyfriend immediately that was in the closet and straight, and that was just horrific. Definitely don't recommend doing that. I ended up down some like dark routes, but then broke up from that relationship and then got another boyfriend. This is a theme, by the way, multiple boyfriends. And he was very much like openly gay and like at peace with himself. And through him, I got to become more like myself, I guess. I had a lot of internalized homophobia, used to walk around with like a Nike cap on, like all black, like roadman, thinking I was solid. And then within a couple of months, I had glitter on my face every night and I was living it large. So can't complain, really.
I must talk about that every single episode. I used to say the exact same thing. I used to say, I'm gay, I'm not a poof. And I'm like, I'm no like that. And then I was like, no, love, you are like that. And
you're like that. I could be more like that if I tried.
Yeah, and you're going to very much enjoy being like that. So like, just like accept it. We chatted about this last year, me and Ben, like for ages, almost every week that we went to Wetherspoons. And
what are you going to say? Where's this going?
No, just about like finding yourself, finding who you are. And for me, it was always about like weight. Like I was a little fat kid growing up, and I was like, I never really got the whole gay scene because it was, it was skinny guys. The whole image of it is a big muscly like Adonis, and then there's just wee fat David from Glasgow, like they'll fit in here. But yeah, so for a long time it was like, that's no me, don't like it, kind of moved away from it. But yeah, even yesterday talking to like Vinegar Stroke, she was saying the exact same thing. Like growing up, she was like, oh, I'm gay, but I'm no that gay. And then quickly realised we're all that gay.
Both of you have become such strong, inspiring role models, though. That must be very rewarding. You really are across different demographics in society, especially with, say, Drag Race now, mainstream, BBC. That's a big breakthrough moment. And, and then TikTok as well. You've both built those bridges and inspired a lot of young people. That must be amazing.
We know the reach that Drag Race can reach to. And I'm always conscious of, like, I'm not editing myself, but I'm conscious of the audience that I can reach to. I'm not going to be talking about blowjobs and dildos the whole time. I do that with my close friends. And when I know my audience, like, I'm not going to sit there on my Instagram story, I just got this clone zone ordering. Oh, look at these poppers. Like, I'm not going to do that. Like, I've got 14-year-olds. My biggest realization of the impact that drag has on the world was when I did DragCon UK in London, and there was these little kids queuing up to come meet me of all people, because they wanted to say thank you for inspiring them, for me being a tit in a wig on telly every night. Like I never had a person in our community to look up to growing up. I had Girls Aloud, I had Gaga, I had those kind of people to influence me and reassure me that you are going to be fierce, fabulous, and not take any shit. But I didn't have any queer representation. You had people like Alan Carr and Graham Norton on your telly on a Friday and Saturday night, but there wasn't really people that you could go, That's my kind of person. And like, that's what I love about drag queens and kings and anybody that does drag as an artistry. We're all friends. We're all sisters and brothers, and we're all in this together. I think everybody in the LGBTQIA community needs to come together and realise we are all in this together. There's no that group and this group and this group and this group. We are one. We are all. We are a community that has a lot of shit thrown at us. And we have to say, we are stronger in numbers, because the minute you start counting out the bisexual community, the transgender community, people that are questioning and say, oh, well, they're not actually part, they are. Allies are part of our community, because we are stronger in numbers, and we need to come together and give two fucking fingers up to the world, to the people that want to shut us down.
Is there a piece of advice you find yourself repeating again and again? Like, what is Cheryl's top tips on being a diva, you know, and being the icon that you're born to be?
Two different types of advice. To queens that are starting out, I say, be on time, be professional, and acknowledge every single person in that room. You don't know that that person in the corner of that room that you think is just one of your the other performers' friends, that's somebody that could have booked you for a big show in East London. Like, you don't know what they're like. And if you stroll in being a fucking, like, there's a difference between a diva and a diva. Like, I'm a diva. Like, it's embodying everything about being the true star that you are. And then there's being a diva, which is being a fucking prick. Like, don't keep people waiting. Don't make stupid, ridiculous demands. Don't take the piss. Like, if you're given 3 drinks tokens, take them and say thank you. Don't go, oh, is that it? That's just being rude. And then to people that are growing up and finding their voice, I always say to them, if life is shit, it's always going to get better from here. And I say to them, don't let anything get you down. Just be whatever you want to be and have fun. I always say you've got to have fun in life.
I'd say for me, in terms of like the response from other people, it's been proper mad, because obviously, unlike, you know, like Cheryl went on a TV show, she was there like, oh, I know that this is going to come out. For me, I didn't have a clue what was going on. I was just talking about stuff that I like, and then literally like overnight, random stuff was happening to me, and then like it went from me just purely, I'm not even going to lie, just chatting shit. Some of the stuff that I post, absolute chatting out my ass. But then I said to Ben yesterday, I've just got so much knowledge of stuff like The Real Housewives, like my favourite TV show growing up was Glee, like knowledge about like girl bands, like random like things in pop culture history and stuff. For me, when I get like emails from people that are like in New Zealand, in like India, in like Africa, saying like, I listen to your podcast, like I can relate to your story, like this and this, it's literally mind-blowing. Like I literally get people messaging me saying, I just came out to my parents after listening to you talking about you're coming out and stuff. Like I did an episode of my podcast with Tag Warner, the CEO of Gay Times, and we were talking about coming out. And I said that on the day that I came out, I watched World of Wonder had just put out a video of some drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race talking about their coming out stories, because I was literally just searching like coming out video. I'd watched like Troye Sivan's coming out video and stuff like that just to like hype myself up. And then I came across this one, and what was that drag queen from season 7? I can't remember her name. She told her story, and it was so similar to mine. I think she just gave some like really good advice, and literally I watched that, and I was like, right, you can do it, and I pressed send on Facebook. So to think that somebody is sat at home listening to my podcast, and then it's given them that, because I know how much that means to me. And like Tempest de Jour probably just did it, like they asked her to do it, just did a little story, probably didn't even think that much of it. But it may, like, who knows, if I didn't see that, I may have literally not done it, and we might not be here today. And it's the weird little things like that literally I sit there at night just like reading over emails, and I'm like, this is just like the wildest thing in the entire world to me. Like it literally coming from chatting bear shit to suddenly making a difference in some people's lives is like, whoa.
Listen, they love listening to people talk absolute shit, because it
Yeah.
takes me from the stresses in their lives and just gives light-hearted humour. So, like, if you can do that and have a message at the same time, you're onto a winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, it's probably like one of the things that I'm most proud of, because especially I just started the podcast just because as an extension of being able to chat shit. And then I didn't even realize in the first episode, I just told the story of like basically my life, like everything about me from like birth to date. And even that, loads of people were like, I'm from a small town. Like, I had multiple problems with like family members when I came out. So I like briefly talk about that. And it can just, like, you don't realize it can help people. Like, I look back on some YouTubers that I used to watch, and they used to get me through like such tough times. So like I say, it's weird to think that I could be that for somebody else. And it's just like really cool, I guess.
What's your thing that like got you through that whole like coming out and realising you were gay point?
It was probably like gay TV shows, probably like RuPaul's Drag Race, because I discovered RuPaul's Drag Race whilst I had a girlfriend. Picture this, guys, I'm thinking everybody around me is a bit thick. I'm not gonna lie. I had a girlfriend. I was doing art A-level. I was one of three people in the whole school that picked art A-level. And I was studying, the one time that we got to pick what we did, I picked gender. And then that's how I found out about RuPaul's Drag Race. I'd never heard of it before. And I just decided, because I just thought one day, like, isn't it weird that just based on like how we look, like they've invented this idea of what gender is, and then I didn't realise there's like whole art forms based on it and everything, whole TV shows, whole people based on it. And then I was like, oh, this is actually quite cool. So I discovered RuPaul's Drag Race whilst I had a girlfriend. I remember being in bed with her, fully clothed, don't worry everybody, saying like, oh, there's this new TV show, like you should watch this. And she was like, oh no, that seems weird. And then I thought, oh no, who the bloody hell do you think you are? And that's probably when I decided to break up with her. Things like that I remember, because I used to be so scared of the thought of being gay. Like I genuinely thought, like, you come out as gay, all your family would disown you. Like, I'd never seen gay people walking around where I was ever. I'd never seen gay pride. I'd never seen anything. So I was so scared of it. So to then see all these people, like I specifically remember, I think it was like Fifi O'Hara or something said that like her dad like beat her up and everything, and like fully like they got disowned and everything. And I was like, oh my God, but like you've been through all that and you're all right. And now you've found like a boyfriend, you've got a family, and like you didn't need all that like just because you've spent your whole entire life around these people doesn't mean that they have to be in your life forever and that you have to live your life for them. And like watching programs like that was the biggest like eye-opener to me. I just remember thinking like I would literally like picture certain people off the show in my head and be like, I'm worried about like just sitting in my room and posting it on Facebook. Like they're fully getting beaten up, they're getting this done to them, that done to them. Like they can get through it and still be absolute legends. Then you can also be a legend.
Cheryl, in terms of like drag growing up, like did you have an affinity towards like Lily Savage or anything like that, or like drag before like RuPaul, or was it just sort of, as you say, when you started kind of looking at it when you were in dance?
Growing up, I used to go to the Panto all the time, and I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, oh, well, that's just the Dame. That's the Panto Dame. Like, I never really thought too much into it. And then as I got older, you think of drag as like your baggers in like a pub in like a sparkly dress singing I Am What I Am. Like, you just think that's what it is. I think drag in the UK has grown and evolved so much because of Drag Race. It's shown UK queens that you can have a contemporary approach towards your drag. Because I never thought I'd be able to do it. I'm not a singer. We all know that. We've all heard me. It's not going to happen. You ain't going to get a single out of me. I mean, unless you want fucking torture, then I'll provide. But I never thought I could do that. I always wanted to be like a Britney or a Girls Aloud or a Gaga doing a world tour and a huge production. And I thought, well, I'm no singer. I'm never going to be able to do that. And through drag, I realised that I could do what I've always wanted to do my entire life. So I'm very fortunate for Drag Race for showing people that mainstream approach, well, not even mainstream, that contemporary approach towards drag and putting it in the mainstream market for everybody to realise what you do is fucking special.
One of the questions that we always ask on the podcast is like, if you could go back to being 16, 17, would you change anything? And if not, what advice would you give?
Like, people ask, what would you change about your time on Drag Race? Nothing, because that's where I was in my life. That was my approach to everything. And that's how you grow as a person. So I didn't have any like traumatizing experiences that I'd be like, don't do that. Like I always wore a condom. So, and any advice I'd give is just don't wait for things to happen. Just do them. Like, just roll with it. Like, I didn't go to my first like gay night until I was like almost leaving my hometown. And I was like, why is it taking me this long to go to Chicago's on a Sunday night? Like, what is taking this long? And there was a venue called Smith's, which was up Malsham Street in Chelmsford, and it was like the cutest little like gay bar, but it needed a zhuzh up, but it got bought out by somebody, so it closed down, and that was like the only LGBT venue that was in like a 20-mile radius. So it was a bit of a heartache, and I just wish I went there more, got my people, started my family then, because I'm not going to lie, if you're a struggling LGBT person, you need to surround yourself with like-minded people that are just going to uplift you as a person.
I'd say for me, again, I don't think I would change anything, because like Cheryl said, it's led you to where you are now. Like, I look back and I thought, wow, you were really dumb for doing that. Like when I first went to uni in Bristol, within 3 days, like I said, I latched onto this boy that was straight at the time and like put everything into him, and then not in a weird way. But like I literally like gave all my time like devoted to him. And then he mugged me off after like 3 months, and like told everybody that like nothing ever happened between us and that I was like a psychopathic liar, basically. But then that led to me like realizing, oh, maybe like constantly chasing after straight boys isn't a good thing, and it's also ruined your uni experience. So then I decided to go to Newcastle Uni, and I went in full force, focused on making friends, focused on my degree, focused on doing things that bettered me as a person. And it's like, I could look back and be like, I was a complete dick, wish I didn't do that. But then I might have never gone to Newcastle, might have never, like, I definitely wouldn't have ended up moving to London ultimately, because I ended up meeting a boy whilst I was on my way to Newcastle that lived in London, that then led to me realising, oh, London's not just like a big Ben and a big fat eye rolling around, it's actually got something about it. So like, let's go down there. And now I live there and I'm absolutely loving life, even though I can't do anything. But like, everything does happen for a reason, and if I changed something, I would be worried that I wouldn't have been led to where I was, well, where I am now. So, would
your younger self believe where you are now? Would 16-year-old Cheryl think, I'm going to be on BBC Breakfast and Celebs on the Farm?
Yeah, you'd be knee deep in pig shit. I wouldn't have believed you. But you know what? We're rolling with it and we're having a camp time. And so grateful for these opportunities. Yeah. So like, yeah. I look back and I go, I can't believe you did all that, but it's fabulous. So you just got to keep, because you've got to say yes to everything, because you don't know, that could be the last time somebody asks you.
No, even at that point though, but like, you are a drag queen on these shows, like that's massive. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're one of the like first people that are doing these shows. I know we sit and joke about like the farm thing, but like, you are still there representing of so many people that was a total, you know, side avenue of society like 20 years ago, and now we're prime time.
To me, you'd be on the same channel as Lady Gaga on MTV. I'd be like, you're shitting me, nah. But I'm somehow there, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity.
For me, like, advice-wise, what was the question? What would I believe I am where I am now?
Yeah.
Was that the question? No, I think I would still be here. No. I'd like told myself, like, you're gonna get, you're gonna have a wife, like everything. I'd fully like set. I was like, I'd have a wife and kids by now. I'd be working at Co-op. I won't be doing much, I'm not going to lie.
When you both go home, what's it like?
Do you know what? I've moved 10 minutes down the road from where I used to live. So, yeah, I mean, I do get spotted in Aldi, and I think that's as big as it gets.
Oh, for me, nah. Nah, my mum's just like, what you even on about? My mum hates it all. People come up to her in town and they're like, oh, like, I listened to Max's TikTok, like, I heard this story about you, I've listened to his podcast, and she's like, oh, don't tell me I don't do social media. The only thing that's changed for me is, like, if I go out to, like, a club or something in London, like, someone will run over to me and, like, tell me a story about myself that I forgot that I told on the podcast, and I'm thinking, how the bloody hell do you know this? But then I remember, and it's all good.
And especially for you, Cheryl, because you have been working hard at your craft for years. So it must be amazing now to be on that platform, but actually you've been working away for years. Whereas, I'm not being dismissive of TikTok, obviously not, but it's
I am.
A different kind of fame. It's overnight.
But there's even queens these days that are coming up so quickly because they're learning even quicker.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a YouTube tutorial kind of diva. I can't sit there and learn something. Like, if I watch something, it just doesn't process in my brain. So I was very slow at going with my makeup. But also I was finding my feet first. And, like, I think what started me off well was I was a hustling diva performing hard. People didn't really care what I was wearing or what I had on top of my head or my face, because I was turning it out on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas some queens are so driven and focused by the Instagram aspect of drag and, like, going to clubs and turning a look. My main goal and aspect when it comes to drag is just getting on that stage and turning it out. So I did the hard graft. I was in the club 6 nights a week. Even if I wasn't there, I would be there networking, chatting shit, and letting people know that I was here and on the scene. Whereas girls post an Instagram picture these days and they're already on people's wavelengths. So it's definitely changed in the last couple of years.
I never obviously went into this. Like, it's kind of the opposite for me. It's not like something that I was like putting loads of effort in, or like, this is going to be my career or something. I've got like I have a full-time job outside of this. And it just randomly happened based on me just being me. Like, I remember my friends told me, because a lot of people, me and Ben had this discussion yesterday, a lot of people put across this like online persona that isn't actually them in an effort to become like an influencer, like to make money online or something. Whereas I just went into it, and I remember my friends being like, when I started to get followers, they were like, so weird, because you're just putting on TikTok the stuff that you usually put on your Snapchat story. And I'm like, yeah, because that's like, I couldn't imagine like doing it any other way, because it would just, I don't know, I just wouldn't be able to like summon like anything out of me, if you get what I mean. And I've obviously had like offers from like random like companies to do some things and stuff, but I've just thought I'd rather just, I don't want people to be like, oh, he's just like advertising this candle or something, and like he doesn't like blah blah blah. So I'm like, I'd rather just like wait until it's something that, like, number one, gives me a shit ton of money, cause do you know what I mean? Or number two is something that I'm genuinely like, oh yeah, love that, really, like, defo use that. And in the meantime, I'm just having fun.
Is there anything that you guys want to plug before we finish up?
Coming early 2021. It's coming.
I've just got my podcast. It's called A Little Bit of Balegde. If you want to spell Balegde, just search up Jessie Nelson Jamaican accent and it'll come up and you'll get it instantly.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for being on.
David, thank you, Gorge.
Thank you so much. Lovely
Thanks
chat.
so much. Bye.
I love hearing about the behind the scenes of Drag Race, and Max is just the sweetest. Next week, we have our very own TikTok and YouTube talent, Ben Wardle, and social media star, the lovely Ollie O'Toole. They discuss how lockdown has affected them, why university may or may not be the right choice for some, and shared some fun stories about their time on social media. If you'd like to hear more from us, don't forget to grab your tickets for our week-long festival starting April 19th, 2021, where you'll get to hear and see even more of our madness. Join me next week, where I'll probably be just as fed up with lockdown, just as queer, and just as sick of these four walls. Bye!